This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Wtaf fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go.
First street I ever was on in the United States. We came in '94,
Boy,
and
that's not a good
it was
way
just
to
go.
get,
It was awful at that point.
Yeah. Hey, we were welcome, by the
welcome,
way, to
yeah,
Bois.
welcome to Bois.
King of the Hill podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm still rusty.
You're still rusty. Show him your scar.
Oh, yeah, I'm a little. I don't know if they can see. Hold on, let me get up here.
Yeah. Show him your elbow. Yeah. Had somebody cut him open on his elbow. Look at that. Woo, gruesome. For you guys listening to audio, just imagine the worst thing you could possibly imagine. Frankenstein's penis.
It's all good. Yeah, it's
so
pretty sewed up.
We were talking about houses, and he's looking for a house, and looking for a house on a street that I used to live on. And I was telling him that the road to this house was like the worst road in the world.
Yeah, there's a picture of me somewhere. I'm going to see if I can find it, but it's me standing in front of my grandmother's house on that same street that you lived on.
Oh, really?
But drinking a Big Red. It was my first Big Red, and my mom said that I looked so excited drinking it.
I bet you were. It's all sugar.
She took a picture of me because she just never seen such excitement over a beverage before.
It's sugar and now illegal red dye number 5.
Yeah,
That's
maybe that's what's wrong with me. That's why I had to have elbow surgery. All that red dye.
You folks that don't live in Texas, is Big Red's only in Texas, right?
Nah, man, Big Red is,
now?
believe it or not,
as I drink an HEB brand Coke.
it's available in other places. Of course, it's predominantly in the South, but it's just like with Dr. Pepper. When I was a kid growing up, you couldn't get Dr. Pepper
that's
in
true.
England readily available. But when I went and visited when I was in my 20s, they had Dr. Pepper on the shelves, and I was like, what? And apparently they'd had it on the shelves for years. My sister, my oldest sister that lives in England still, she really loves Big Red. So every now and again we'll send her a case.
When you start looking at the way that some of these brands have grown, like Whataburger. Whataburger's featured a lot in King of the Hill, and it used to only be in Texas.
Well, now they're branching out. They got bought out by that company in Chicago.
Bought them out, and now it's like in Missouri and all these other places, which does take some of the specialness away from it, I think. But
I think so too. But it's just
Whataburger
like
doesn't taste like it used to either.
I feel like it's like where we live at, getting an In-N-Out. You know what I mean? Like In-N-Out's all like this California thing, and Californians rave about it and stuff like that. And I'm like, have you had a double R burger?
Yeah, it's fine.
Have you went to Double R lately?
Yeah, it's not.
There's a lot better burgers in town than In-N-Out.
There definitely are. Artie, welcome. I see you there in the chat.
Welcome, Arthur.
Thanks for being here. Hey, buddy. I told Rusty I drove down here. It takes me about 15 minutes to get here. And I drove down here, got out, came all the way. Well, when I got out, I realized that I had left all of my hard work at home, my notes and all the stuff that I meticulously do before every one of these episodes. And it's not a joke. I mean, I really do. I go line by line by line.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
make lots of notes and all this stuff.
Definitely a good 2-3 hour ordeal, I'm sure.
It takes me, I don't know. I've got it down to where.
For a 20-minute show, it's probably like an hour and a half.
I've got it down to where it takes me an hour and a half, something like that. And it's not that bad anymore. When we first started, it took me 3 hours to do one freaking episode.
Yeah, but I mean, we've been doing it now for years, so eventually you kind of streamline the process.
Well, there's also a cadence that I've picked up on. The way that the stuff works And
the
so,
show flows the same way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the
Yeah.
same basic structure
Yeah.
pretty much throughout the whole series.
I can 100% tell you when a commercial break's coming up. You know,
Yeah, you can feel
that
it.
kind of thing.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah,
You can feel it.
just from the written part of it.
Mine is different. But I don't, of course, since you're the one that's reading it, I don't go line
Yeah,
by
sure.
line like you do.
Yeah.
I do read the script with the show as I watch it, though. So I'll watch it 2 or 3 times, and I'll pause, and I'll, kind of think about what I want to talk about on certain parts of it and things like that. But I've never been a big note taker. If I did what you were doing,
Yeah.
I would have to take a lot of notes for sure. And then if we were doing something like we did when we were doing the David Letterman show, I came in with a notebook every time with like 5 pieces of paper full of scribbles and scratches and everything.
Yeah. The thing about these is it's like you can get super deep in the weeds on these things.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I have gotten to the point where I pick out, 4 or 5 things in an episode and actually make, a few bigger notes about them, just simply because, like, it'll be – if I were to try to notate everything in an episode, it would take me 3 hours.
Yeah, it would take
because
forever.
There are a lot of Easter eggs in episodes. There's a lot of extra stuff.
That's what we have
happens.
Artie for.
Yeah. Artie helps us out.
He helps me with some.
with that.
Every now and again, there'll be one that he'll hit me with, and I'll be just like, "Yeah, I would have never
no
thought
kidding,
about
right?
that." Like what was it recently? He had one where, like the ones where he calls back to like episode 3 seasons ago or something like that.
That's
and
a big
it's
one.
like a continuity thing.
That's a big one.
But it only shows up in 2 episodes, and it's like 3 seasons later kind of thing.
Yeah. By
Those
the way,
kind of
and I don't
continuities.
know that we give him enough credit. Artie
No, he does a good job.
is in the background, and he sends us notes and keeps up with the show. And honestly, he's become such a integral part of this show. Artie, I just want you to understand how much we appreciate everything you do and how you always show up, man. You are the backbone of the fans out there, and we do really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, like I said, we just don't give you enough credit sometimes. We say thanks, but that's not enough. Anyway, so today we are in the end of January here, which is hard to believe.
Yep.
We're 2 weeks into the 47th president's term.
Yep.
Which
Fortunately, or unfortunately,
going about like
depending on
they
who you
told
are.
us it would. We have
Man
had
of his word. A man of his word, if nothing else.
Say it again.
I said he's a man of his word. If
Well,
nothing
that's
else.
true.
He said
Yeah.
he said I'm gonna do this, and he did that. So
He's a man of his word. The problem is he says so many words.
yeah.
Anyway, we hope that you're enjoying our show as kind of a distraction. One thing I'm gonna go off into one little conspiracy theory thing here, and then we'll get to our topic. Did you see the explanation as to why the drones are over New Jersey?
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
I did see. I'll let you say your conspiracy
Yeah,
theory,
sure,
but I did
sure.
see a JFK thing that I thought was interesting.
Well, they're releasing all the old conspiratorial stuff.
yeah.
So you get,
but it's all heavily redacted. That's the
Sure.
problem. Yeah.
well, you get MLK's assassination, you get JFK's assassination, you get all of this stuff. Chuck freaking Schumer is calling for the release of all the UFO documents. It's
Yeah.
such a weird friggin' world we
It
live
is.
in right now.
It's very
It's just
idiocratic.
it's like a cartoon all of a sudden, It's just everything and anything that can be thrown at us is thrown at us. So the drones in New Jersey, what I read is that they are practicing for war against China. So that's
Okay.
fun.
Yeah, I heard that they were nuclear radiation detecting drones, and they were detecting for dirty bombs on the East Coast. No, but
Really
the JFK
cool.
thing that it was actually Carlson Tucker. Take it with a grain of salt.
Carlson Tucker or Tucker Carlson?
What is it? Is it Tucker Carlson? I don't know. I mean, Carlson
You need
Tucker.
to
Tucked up
start
Carlson.
a YouTube channel called Carlson Tucker.
He'd
Or
probably
Tucker, whatever.
I'd probably get the shit.
reverse.
I'd probably get the shit suit out of me.
And
for
then
that.
just idiot conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
Just
just say
up,
what. Just sit there and say whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
InfoWars 2. This time it's personal.
Talk about how Larry Bird was an Irishman,
Communist spy.
an Irish spy or something. Yeah.
He loved his car bombs.
But the JFK thing, it was talking about how Donald Rumsfeld had sent a letter to the Attorney General, which was his brother, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure his brother was the Attorney
That
General.
seems fair.
So Donald Rumsfeld sent a letter to his brother saying that because one of the things that JFK spoke out against was Zionism, and he wanted to put it was the American Jewish League or something. It was some kind of Jewish Jewish American lobby.
Okay.
But he wanted to label them as agents of Israel.
Okay.
And Donald Rumsfeld said this would upset the Jewish population and all
well,
this.
I can see why.
And then shortly after that letter's written, of course, you get a guy in a school book depository blowing JFK's head
Sure.
off and the entire conspiracy that involves in that. So I thought that was kind of crazy that they're trying to blame it on Israel. That's what Tucker Carlson was talking about. And then he was talking about like an even greater conspiracy where it's all a CIA thing. So it's like the CIA wanted JFK to invade Cuba, and he had no desire to invade Cuba. So they did the whole Bay of Pigs thing. And then after that, they say that the CIA did the Nixon scandal with all the stuff surrounding Nixon, and that the FBI was feeding and the deep throat guy was somebody who was feeding information from the FBI to the Washington, what was it, the Post or something?
Yeah,
or
Washington
something
Gazette
like
or yeah,
whatever it was.
Post.
It was a newspaper out of Washington,
Yeah.
and they were feeding the information to this guy, and then that conspiracy ties into something else. So it's all like the industrial military complex that Eisenhower, like Eisenhower's last big speech was about the industrial military complex and how it's a dangerous thing to get into a perpetual war cycle.
Oh, sure it is.
And the conspiracy
Lucrative,
is that JFK never wanted to go to war in Vietnam or anything like that. So the CIA had him killed so the CIA could continue on with the perpetual cycle of war, which we've been in since JFK. We have been in a constant state of war since JFK got murdered.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
like I said,
Well,
I
it's
like
just
conspiracy theories
there's
sometimes.
so much money in it.
Yeah, it's just a really deep
that's
one.
That's the thing. It all comes down to money.
It's a really, really deep one. I don't
But-
like getting too far into them, and I'm not really a big fan of some of the guys that are like in government right now. But Kash Patel has a book all about like
I haven't been a fan of anybody in government in a very
long time. Yeah,
Very
very long time.
Not just this current administration.
But the guy that he's putting as his FBI director or whatever it is, this Kash Patel guy, he has a book where he kind of dives into this deeper conspiracy theory stuff about the CIA and stuff like that. Because that was one of the things that RFK Jr. said is that JFK wanted to throw
Where did he
the
go,
CIA
by
to
the
the
way?
wind. Where did he go?
Where's RFK Jr.?
He's just a
Hadn't
little
seen him in a
quiet.
few
He's
weeks.
just a little quiet. You know why he's being quiet is because he is a career politician and he doesn't want to stick his foot in his
He's down
mouth
there dissecting a bear cub
before he
or
goes
something.
and sits and does his confirmation hearing.
Mm.
I think he's just quiet because he knows the confirmation hearing's coming up and he doesn't want to say something too outrageous. In
So
the media or
Artie
nothing.
had a nice one here. He said he's going to release all the files except the Epstein files.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is pretty spot on.
Pretty damning.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Hey, but let me just say this: a lot of weird shit going on in the world.
Yeah, conspiracy.
A lot of bad stuff going on in people's families. There's always things happening. You know, I told my wife, like, every time these kids, and we got 5 of them, you know, every time they text and they need money or they got this or they got that or whatever, it just feels like this constant weight of bricks on my shoulders. You know, like it just something is just pushing me down into the fucking hole in the earth all the time. But I will tell you this. This show can be a respite from those things.
Yeah.
We can just talk about nothing for a while, and we can all enjoy it. And honestly, right now, this world needs more of this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying my show and Rusty's show is going to save the world or anything, but
no, definitely not.
what I'm saying is we need distractions. And also, by the way, we can talk about this stuff as much as we want.
Changes
We can't
nothing.
do a damn thing about it.
No.
And so
I wouldn't want to, honestly. If I changed anything about it, it would be less entertaining. That's the one thing about. Imagine when politics used to be boring as fuck.
Yeah.
Imagine when Walter Cronkite would just give you the news and he would tell you that's the way the cookie crumbles, and that was all you got.
I would love to have those days. That would be great. But what I'm saying is, I can't care enough. You know what I mean?
You know what's else
I
exciting
just
to
can't
watch?
give a shit about it enough.
I like the live feed of the British Parliament.
Yeah.
They get wild.
Oh yeah, they get nuts.
Fuck you, mate.
Artie says Eisenhower drew up the Bay of Pigs invasion. JFK didn't want to do it, but the military was ready to go, so they did it.
Yeah.
Again, it all goes back to money and power. That's all it ever is.
And
But you know what
not very
doesn't
much
have
of
any
either.
money or power? Us, and we're here. So
I have very
we
little
are
of
going to
both.
talk about something that Rusty knows a lot about. I know very little about.
I know a little.
It came up in the news, and King of the Hill and the characters from King of the Hill, such as Hank and Bobby and Dale, are going to be in Fortnite.
Fortnite, yeah, that's
That
they
sounds
haven't.
silly to me, but let's talk about it for a minute.
Well, there's a big Fortnite leaker. It's let me. I'm trying to remember
Fortnite
his.
leaker.
There's somebody. It's like a guy who does data mining on Fortnite, and
like something
generally
from a
when they're data
Shakespeare
mining,
play.
stuff, they pull out little bits of data that are in the
Yeah,
in the
sure.
game,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's data that's not necessarily being used yet,
Yeah.
and it'll give like an indicator of what might be coming next, kind of
Right,
thing. They used
right.
to do it with GTA 5 online and
Okay.
stuff before updates. They would have like.
Mhm.
They would do these little patches, and they would slowly add the data a little bit at a time. You could mine through the data. Well, FNBR Intel on X and or Twitter, whatever you call it these days,
Mhm.
he leaked that Hank Hill is the only one that's been like leaked. They haven't really leaked any information about any other character or whatever
I can't imagine
special
that's the only
shit
one
they
would
have.
put in there because I would think everybody would want to play as Bobby or Dale.
I imagine the ones that you'll get is probably Bobby, Dale, Hank, and maybe Peggy.
Because I mean, Dale, you can't you work in the pocket sand kind of thing?
Yeah, you could probably
and
work
you
in the
could throw a
pocket
cigarette at
sand.
people or whatever.
You
that
could
kind
probably
of
work in the purse kicking in the nuts
stuff.
thing.
Mhm.
Peggy's big feet. I
Yeah.
mean, something like that. Like, it's fun to speculate about what they're going to do or what they're going to have. Well, in the game, you have different things, different like cosmetic attachments or whatever.
Right, sure.
So you got a mining pick, and then you have a backpack, then you have a glider. So people are speculating on what Hank's pick might look like, like if it's a hoe or whatever, and then like Hank's glider, what it might look like.
So there's
I wouldn't even know what he would have as a glider or whatever.
I was never
I think
like
it's really interesting.
when we first started streaming way back in the day. This is probably 6-7 years ago. We would stream from an internet cafe.
Yeah.
And or a LAN or whatever you want to call it, but a lot of computers. Kids would come in, they're the ones that are afraid of sunlight. They would come in and they would sit there and they would play video games. And occasionally one of them would scream out, "Kill, kill, kill," or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Or "I'm gonna fuck your mother," or whatever, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's a group, right? It's a group. But that's when Fortnite came out. And it was all about the dances at first.
The
right?
Fortnite
all
dances.
About getting in
Yeah,
there
they
and
still
dancing.
have those. So I imagine Hank will probably have his
Which-
own specific. It's called emoting, is what they call
Right.
it. But Hank will
Fortnite-
probably have his own.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but Fortnite in general is just capture the flag for the most part, right?
No, what Fortnite
Okay.
is called a battle royale. Well, there's a bunch of different game modes now, but when the game first came out, before it even had the battle royale, it was
Mhm.
just battling aliens, and
Really? It was battling aliens to begin with?
that's what
Huh.
it was to begin with. It was called
I
Save
thought you
the
were
Earth,
dropped in.
Save the World. Well, see, that's not the original Fortnite.
Okay.
So that was that was the add-on, was the battle royale mode, and that's really what kicked off the battle royale market for games, where now you've got Call of Duty that does it, and they've got like PUBG is another one that does it. But Fortnite was like the first ones to kind of innovate this play style, and they're also Epic Games is the one that owns the big engine Unreal.
right.
That they have the big Unreal engine, so they're pretty much crucial to a lot of video game development because
What's
they
up,
create
Mr. Z?
they create the engine that games are created in. So Fortnite itself, it was just Save the World or Save the Earth. I can't remember what it was called.
Mhm.
And you would just fight waves of aliens. Well, then they came out with Battle Royale. And Battle Royale, Mike, is 100 players dropped in. You could either be one, solo. You could be two duos, or you could be,
Right.
four players together, whatever. And whenever you drop in, you're given the whole map to start off with, and then the circle, they call it the storm. The storm gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and it forces you to fight. So there's people in a lot of games that'll just camp and sit in one spot and try to kill people from one spot.
Sure.
But the whole premise of the battle royale and stuff is they want to encourage you to. The game designers encourage you to fight. So the circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then eventually you're in this small circle, and whoever's left is just a battle to the end to see who wins. And eventually the circle gets really small. Once it's really small, if you're inside that circle, the circle itself will move until somebody wins.
Okay.
And when you're in the storm, you take health damage. So if you stay in the storm too long, you die. So they encourage you to get into this. Like it's by design to force you to fight, like force combat.
Okay.
So they pretty much like started that scene or whatever.
But it's also open world, right?
Well, that's the thing is they have, since it's a game engine, they have opened it up to, it's kind of like Roblox, I guess,
Fortnite
is another way to do it.
at this point is a game engine just like Roblox or
it's like Roblox.
Minecraft
I would compare it more to Roblox than say Minecraft.
So you're making games within games.
People are making games within the game now.
Okay.
There's all kinds of game modes. So yeah, there is a capture the flag. There is all these like other different things. They're about to come out with a life simulator inside of it where you could ride around and have an apartment and go to work and play games and do whatever. But I really think that it's cool how these things come about. Like Roblox, I never thought I would ever find myself as a grown man playing Roblox, but I've got kids, so my 14-year-old, he played Roblox a lot, and he still plays some of the games that are on there, but it's the fact that you could take a game and create a game inside of this engine that makes it appealing. Because
there's companies that do that. I mean, they're literally making games inside the game and making money at it.
That's what they said. Fortnite just released Epic Games just released this big thing showing how much money they've given away to creators, and 7 people that develop stuff inside of Fortnite made $10 million plus last year.
Wow.
So it's not like it's not a reality to make money doing it.
It's a whole new world.
And there's people making millions, and there's even more making hundreds of thousands doing it. And the thing that I liked about it was like with Roblox, there's this tornado chasing game inside of it where you're a storm chaser and you have storm chasing equipment, and I like storms and all that kind of stuff. And I actually chase. I mean, if anybody's ever seen my car, it's full of hail damage. I actually have chased storms. I'm actually a Skywarn storm spotter.
Oh yeah,
for the National Weather Service.
Yeah,
but I just think that it's just such a unique time in gaming. Because you don't have to rely on AAA game developers anymore for good, decent games.
We went to a place up near Dallas called, God, I always want to call it Trinity, but it's not. It's anyway, it's this huge game studio. I mean, they had these screens that were 2 stories high and would wrap around you and go on the ceiling and stuff. And it was all Unreal Game Engine developed,
which is owned by Epic Games.
But they would they're not only a video game development house, but they're also VFX for like movies and stuff like
that's
that,
cool.
right?
Yeah.
So you could literally pull a car in there and then light it all up around it, and you don't have to do green screen or anything because it looks like you're in an environment.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
And they've got 3 of these things in there.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the thing we went to was for like I'm probably going to say it wrong, but it was like International Game Developers Association or something like that, because my buddy Casey, he started the game development program out at TSTC, and he's always developed games. He's always made a lot of stuff and things like that. And he, I want to give him credit. He was the first guy I knew to make a radio, and this sounds really simplistic when I say this, but it wasn't at the time, a radio player for the internet. And
kind of like what Mark Cuban or whatever.
Well, it was just the fact that you had a widget that could sit on your web page that you could then pipe your radio signal through, right?
Yeah.
And we took it to all these places and tried to sell it to them.
Nobody cared.
And they were all like, "Nobody's ever going to listen to the internet on the radio." Like, okay, well, shit.
And then Mark Cuban jumped on it. Now he's a billionaire.
Yeah, we were just early is all it was.
A little too early.
Yeah, and we were in Waco. I mean, nobody's going to buy it here.
Not around here, no.
But anyway.
Well, Mark Cuban was in Dallas. Where did he sell? I wonder how he got his
Don't
sold.
let him fool you. He's from Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. He's from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he's from Pittsburgh, but he came to Texas, and he was part of the PayPal crew and all that stuff, and sold all that off, and then got into video on the internet and different things.
Because I know one of the things that he did was went to
Pittsburgh.
He went to sports teams and stuff.
Yeah. He owns Dallas Mavericks.
Well, I mean, with his online radio thing, he went to actual sports.
Yeah.
I think that's what blew his up, because like we've talked about here before, how we've started the sports thing here too with Rogue. Like sports is really one of the big things in media. I mean, I know I watch a lot of sports media. I watch more sports media than I watch anything else, probably.
This doesn't really have anything to do with what we're talking about. But by the way, let me give him credit. Mr. Z is in here. He says Hank doesn't dance unless it's boot, scoot, and boogie at Sugarfoot's, which is very true. And then Artie says Hank dances at Ugly's Saloon, which is absolutely. I love the fact that they have a place called Ugly's in the. It's just
Sugarfoot's is a restaurant,
Saloon.
isn't it? I don't think he'd be dancing at a restaurant.
Well, maybe.
Or is it a bar?
Maybe.
Like a bar
I mean,
and
it's
grill?
big enough. You know, maybe they move the buffet over and you just do a little
just
boot
dance
scooting.
on the buffet.
We're hosting a thing called the Waco Block Party in March.
Yeah.
And part of that is a big Battle of the Bands, right? It's a 3-day event that we host, so it's a premiere night, the Friday before, then Saturday all day long with bands on the street and stuff. And I think we're going to have 15, 20 bands at this one. It's huge. At this point now, it's going to take up 3 different blocks all around this place and stuff.
That's awesome.
You pay the city to close off the blocks and do all these things. But I don't know if I told you, I went to an event at Antone's in Austin that was hosted by Adam Curry, who used to be a VJ on MTV.
Yeah.
He's big in the podcasting world and does this thing called Value for Value. Value for Value is a way for people to pay creators as they watch it live or as they listen to your stuff later or whatever. Anyway, that's a lot of explanation that doesn't need to be done here. But I was able to meet some folks that were helping with the event. These 2 people, last name Costello, they run Phantom Power Music is what this thing is called, right? Their daughter is a big, Artie says, Sugarfoot's only event other than being a restaurant ever shown was when Luann boxes in the back room. Well, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Maybe she's boxing there, and they move the buffet
boxing
over,
here,
and people
boxing
are
everywhere. Yeah.
are sugarfooting up front. But anyway, these folks, their daughter is like this huge music star within this movement.
Oh, cool.
So she'll get up there, and there'll be a monitor next to it, and as she's singing in front of 100 people, in a club like Antone's, then over on the side, you're seeing as people are donating this sign light up and all this stuff, and it's able to take. What they do is they deal a lot in Bitcoin and fractions of Bitcoins, right? So they're called Satoshis. And so if I give you 1,000 Satoshis, it's probably worth 10 cents or whatever, right? So
for sure.
It's very small fractions.
Yeah, no, I know a little bit about Bitcoin.
But that night they raised something like 5 million Satoshis, which still is $5,000, $6,000,
yeah,
$8,000, whatever it is, right? So that's a really big deal for an online thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's a mixture. It's a hybrid. It's online and in person. Anyway, this lady who was basically running the thing took me and Casey, and we got to go into the bowels of Antone, and I got to go to the back rooms and see the production and all this stuff that was going on. And we got to talking. She is going to, for $1,500, which seems very cheap to me, they're bringing their whole team, and they're going to help us produce the Battle of the Bands and the Texas Creator Awards the next night.
Oh, wow.
And Value for Value it, so that it's on the internet, it's streamed, and people can pay or they can help or whatever, right? However you want to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
But when they leave, we will then be equipped to do that with everything. Yeah. We'll know how to set it up. We'll have done 2 events. All this stuff. So I'm super excited about that. I don't know what that has
that's
to do with
exciting.
video games.
Yeah, that's exciting for sure.
There you go. Hey, the last thing I want to get to here, because this is a Friday, there was a King of the Hill video game at one point. Have we ever talked about that?
No, I don't think we have. It was a PC game.
November 13th, 2000 for PC and Macintosh. It was called Hootenanny, which I'm not sure why they needed to call it anything but King of the Hill video game. It says, you are welcome to the neighborhood with a list of things in the mail. Upon taking out the trash, you see Hank, Dale, Bill, and Boomhauer in the alley, and the simulation begins. There are several mini games that you can play. They include mini golf, lawnmower race, paintball, scavenger hunt, and tic-tac-toss. Okay. You can also explore a limited part of the town. In the beginning of Texas Hunting, you start out by getting a hunting license. You meet the guys, and they invite you to their hunt. So
the abandonware's available, too, because it's been obviously it's just abandoned. It's not something that anybody gives a shit about. It's on archive.org or on the Internet Archive, but it's also on abandoned. There's a a website for just abandoned, video game computer stuff. myabandonware.com. You could also find it on. The problem is if you do it, you're not going to be able to just run it on your computer these days. You're going to have a virtual machine on your computer. Yeah, you're going to have a virtual machine running on your computer.
You have
that's
to have
running,
a virtual machine to run a PC game?
Yeah, for this game for sure.
Huh.
You have to run it. You have to run it as Windows ME or Windows 95 or 98 because it's so old. And that's the problem. There is you have to use a virtual machine to do it or whatever because it's just not compatible with the 64-bit computers anymore. So
I thought that you could backwards run one of these things, like you could tell
some
it to
games
run
you can, but not that old.
Okay.
You could do it with like games from probably like 08, 07, 06.
I just want to see what some of this
but
looks
that's
like.
just too far back.
This is 2000. Yeah. Yeah, it's not. It's obviously not a great game. But
it's only 307 megabytes too.
I think it's
this year
interesting,
than ever.
right?
So there goes. Pick which
that they
blind
made
you'd like
this,
to visit
and,
first.
Now, so many years later, King of the Hill is getting back into video games, basically. Through another one.
Yeah,
So
through another deal.
super
And you know what? This
interesting.
might even open up, like we were talking about how they create video games inside of video games. You might get somebody that recreates Arlen inside of Fortnite, and you're fighting in Arlen.
Yeah.
Like you're
Now
fighting
that
each other in
you've
Arlen.
reviewed the
I'm excited to see what they do with it.
I
Excited to
love-
see what all the creators create out of it. I'm not
I
a video
love
game creator, otherwise I would
this.
create Arlen, but it's gonna be cool.
I love that right there, where they're all just standing straight and just staring at you. That's my.
It's very reminiscent of like Oregon Trail. Somebody needs to do that. Oregon Trail
not an easy-
with like Hank Hill and Dale.
They could go on a trip. Yeah.
That's what that looks like. That
Look, see,
hunting,
there it is
that
again.
hunting
It's the
game.
same-
Whatever
It's the
gear
same
you wanna
exact
bring into
stance.
the
It's
back
just
of
they're
my
in different
truck.
clothing.
Yeah, the
I
hunting
have
part of it
room
too
for
looks
8
like
items.
what you would do in.
It's just a bunch of hunting.
See, that looks like the Oregon Trail hunting too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great. This is this entire video is
Which the history of Oregon Trail is kind of crazy too.
this is a
It started by
2-hour
teachers.
video.
It was started by a bunch of teachers in Minneapolis.
Oh, really?
And Prince was one of the first people to. He was one of the because he was a student in the Minneapolis school system whenever Oregon Trail was being
Find
released.
everyone
So
here.
actually, Prince is like one of the
Ma-
first like students to get to play Oregon Trail.
So now you got
Ever.
paintball, which
Listen up.
basically is just
There's only
the same
one way to
hunting
win.
game.
You got to hit me
That's all it is. It's the same game over
or
and
one of
over,
the
it
other
looks like.
guys
It
3
is, for the
times.
most part. I mean, this is like a block party you're going to or something here. And then anyway, I thought it was super interesting to take a look at this game because it is rough. Now the graphics aren't terrible. The graphics are decent, but the little games, I've never understood why when they make games like this, they try to reduce them to such small things like, oh, let's throw in a paintball game. Oh, let's do a deer hunting game or whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Lawnmower
so
race. Hill Family
reductive
Yard.
of the properties
Think you can handle it?
that are there. I mean,
Yeah,
I would rather
absolutely.
just have a virtual Hank Hill that I talk to or
Here
something,
in
you know,
Arlen,
or
we measure
something like that,
success
right?
by
Yeah.
the yard.
But
Front
at the
yard and
time,
backyard.
everybody thought you had to
So
make it
pick
into
your
all these
opponent,
little mini
choose one
games
of
and stuff.
Mason's
Do
finest
you remember
mowers,
the Burger
and
King
get ready
games?
to race.
Remember the Xbox games for Burger King?
Yeah, I do remember them. I had one of them. They were actually pretty well done for just some.
They were
cheesy-ass
very well
games.
done. Yeah, for these little throwaway games. But again, they were the same kind of thing where it was like, okay, this
better quit
one
fooling
you're
around.
racing mini cars. This one you're sneaking into the Burger King or whatever.
That's
you know?
the one I had. Was
Yeah.
sneaking.
And so, again, they're just very reductive, and I understand that they're giving them away. You know, you buy a Whopper, you get a free game or whatever.
Yeah.
It was, or they were $5.99 or whatever it was.
You're
But
spraining the seams on the back.
there's
Come on, empty
such
it.
a history in video games of making this kind of garbage and releasing it.
Yeah, I love it.
But, you know, it's fun. But look for that. So King of the Hill, Fortnite. If you play Fortnite, if you want to play Fortnite. Luke, no, you did not miss the episode. We've had a rough day. We're going to do the full episode here in a little bit. We're doing a Friday. And I left all my notes at home, and I'm about 15 minutes away, so I'm
Hey,
headed
you're
out.
keeping up with the hills.
But thank you all for joining us in this weird, wacky Friday that we did.
Conspiracy theories of video games.
It was kind of odd.
It was definitely targeted for an 18 to 35 male audience.
It was an 18 to 35 male audience. Please bring the women in the room so you feel normal. Again, my wife's out of town. This is what happens. I go feral real quick. So thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. I already feel bad about just being here and doing this. And we'll go home and we'll do the full episode. So if you're listening to this on a Friday, just know we did this first, and then we went back and did Monday.
Yeah,
but
we did them in a different order.
Yeah, we did a different order. But we love you guys. We appreciate you being here.
And if you're currently present in our live chat on YouTube and you haven't, please subscribe, hit the notification bell.
I don't think we say that enough.
And I don't. Well, I should start saying at the beginning of the episode. And if
You're
you're listening to this just on audio, we would appreciate it if you would go over to YouTube and hit subscribe. Please. We're trying to hit 1,000 this time by maybe like second, third quarter. We're at like 640 right now, so we're really not that far. I know there's enough people that listen to our show that we could hit 1,000 pretty quick.
We want 1,000 subscribers before the aliens show up.
Yeah, before the aliens
is all
we're
saying, you know.
But also, on that note, we will be back. So everybody that's currently in the live and you want to listen to us do the episode live, just hang on. Give us about 30, 40 minutes.
Probably within the next hour. We'll get
up and go, and we'll get that because we got to get it done before 2 o'clock because the
what happens at 2?
Eagles versus Washington Commanders.
I thought it was 3.
No, I think that was it's at 2, and then the next game's at 5:30.
Huh.
We'll get it done by then.
We'll
have plenty of time. We got plenty of time to get it done.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
We love you, and we'll be back here in just a few minutes. But
hang tight, guys.
Artie says you're insulting the lawn. All right, guys. Love you. See you later.
We Matanye.
We Matanye indeed, mofo. This has been a Rogue Media Network production.